What is up, everybody? Happy spring and welcome back inside the State Champ studio. As always, alongside former Michigan State Spartan and head coach at Turn and Two, Mackenzie Long. My name is Kara Lyles. Kenzie, it is softball season. We are back. How have you been?
Oh, it's so good to be back. I'm super excited for the season. I've been great and just really looking forward to talking softball with you again this year and all the great players we have in the state of Michigan.
This is the second season Turn and Two has been our sponsor. What's new this year? What's changed?
Yeah, we're super excited to be a part of this again this year. One of the things that we're trying to do this year is have a segment of a player of the week to help us see the longevity of how a player is impacting their team on a week-by-week basis.
How can people make sure that, their team, their players are getting up for that running?
Yeah, that's a great question, because one of the things is we're going to follow Game Changer on a week-by-week basis or any credible statistical method to see what they're doing and how they're impacting the game. And so for us to be able to follow you, we need to have access to your stats.
Let's talk a little bit. 2024 season is upon us, but let's take a step back. Trip down memory lane. What happened last year in our state finals game, Division IV, Mendon and Unionville-Sebewaing?
Yeah, USA won for the fourth time in a year. And I mean, it's just incredible how they continue to dominate, even, pre-COVID era, post-COVID era. They've just been a force to deal with at the Division IV level.
An absolute powerhouse in Division IV, that is for sure. Let's move on to Division III, Ottawa Lake, Whiteford, and Standish Sterling. What did you see from that game?
Oh my gosh, that was probably the game of the day. That ended up on a walk-off for Standish Sterling, and honestly, that was just a phenomenal game. And kudos to Ottawa for coming back again after going up from Division IV to Division III and making it again to the finals.
Before we started the show, me and Kenzie were talking about last year, and that was definitely a game that stood out for everyone. So much fun to be there. The atmosphere was lit, and we're excited to see what they can do again this year. Moving on to Division II, Vicksburg and Gaylord. Another good game. What did you see from that one?
Gosh, that was a great game. I mean, Gaylord is just stacked from the top to the bottom. Vicksburg did a good job, but they just have a hard time dealing with controlling their lineup because Gaylord was just stacked. And they returned most of their players again this year, including Jaden Jones, who was out hurt last year in the finals.
Right, and that was a huge loss for them, unfortunately, in that point of the season. But definitely looking to see what they can do this year in Division I. Woodhaven and Heartland, oh my goodness.
Yes, I mean, obviously our state champs player of the year last year, Kylie Swarkos, was just dominant for Heartland. Heartland ended up winning that game 9-1. Kylie had 13 strikeouts. I mean, against a very, very stacked lineup in Woodhaven, yet they just dominated that game from the beginning to the end. I mean, it was 5-0 after the third inning.
Right. Well, Heartland had a tough road to the finals. They played a lot of hard teams to be able to make it there. Do you see anything like that happening again for them?
I think to your point, last year they had to go through Mercy. They had to go through just a ton, again, just a lot of quality pitchers. And honestly, that's why they were just able to put up runs in the championship game so continuously, because they faced dominant pitching from the beginning of regionals or beginning of districts all the way through the state championship game. But this year, they lost Abby Gardner. They lost a lot. They lost Kylie. They lost a lot of senior leadership. I mean, Abby had 2 hits in the championship game. Riley Phillips had 1 hit in the championship game. All of them graduated and moved on. So it's going to be tough for them to come back. I mean, they're going to be on the hands of a pitcher that hasn't played very much and a freshman pitcher. So it'll be a tough road for them.
Excited to see it, though. I mean, we know who had success last year, but I'm excited to see who kind of prevails this year as some of our top teams. And that leads us into our very first top 10 list for this season. As you see on your screen, Gaylord at number 1.
Yeah, we put Gaylord up at number 1 just from the standpoint of, they're just so dominant. They have the Jones sisters one's going to Oklahoma State, one's going to Virginia Tech, then they have Alexis Shepard, who's going to Toledo. They just are from the top to the bottom. They didn't graduate much. They're just going to be a force. And again, Jaden Jones is back in their lineup. It's going to be hard to control their lineup, and so we put them at number 1, but they play Mercy this week, so that's going to be a great game.
What do you see from this Mercy team this year as they're at number 2?
Yeah, obviously you have Caitlin Palazzi, who's just a phenomenal pitcher going to Alabama, but one of the things that I think is going to be super important for them this year is putting up runs, and they have players like Charlie Lambert in their lineup that can help them put up runs. Last year they lost to Heartland 1-0. And so if they can find ways to put up runs, I mean, Caitlin's going to do her thing, and she's going to shut down a lot of offenses. But if you can put up runs for them, then they're going to be a hard beat too. So going into that game this week, if they can put up runs against Gaylord, it's going to be hard for Gaylord to score runs against Mercy.
And we've got Woodhaven at number 3. What do you see from them this year?
Yeah, they return a lot of their lineup as well. They return their pitcher in Grace Usher, who's going to Grand Valley. You know, they return Aria Kruger, and they return a lot of players that was an impact. You know, they returned Mia Taylor, who so far this year, she was in the bottom of the lineup. Last year, she's the top of the lineup. And if she can get her slap game going, she's a force, I mean, in the box. And then they also have Grace Walker, who has also done a great job in developing. And so, again, they're going to be a great team and a good team to watch at the Division I level.
And we have Allen Park at number 5. What do you see from them this year?
Yeah, you know, they're going to be great again this year. They did lose Morgan Sizemore, who was their pitcher, who was their 4-hole hitter, but they do have players like Avery Garden going to Northwestern, and Kylie Carr going to Michigan, and Max Zatarski going to Toledo. So, again, they have the lineup to put up a lot of runs. Will they have the pitching? That's going to be the difference for them.
Well, we've got already a top 10 matchup, Allen Park and Woodhaven Thursday. Going to be a good game. What do we think?
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. That's always a really good game. And honestly, that's going to be a game where their elite players need to step up, right? If you're Woodhaven, you need Ariel Kruger to come and be ready to hit that game. You need Max Zatarski to set the tone, and then you need Kylie Carr to continue to do her thing, as well as Garden. And I think if you have that happen on both sides, it's going to be a very complete game. If the stars show up on both sides, it's going to be a great game. If the stars only show up on one side, I see it leaning whatever way that is.
And at number 6, we have South Lyon. What kind of season do you have in store for them?
Yeah, they're back. Ava Bradshaw is back. And when you have somebody as dominant as Ava Bradshaw on the mound, you're instantly in the mix for a state championship again. Ava's committed to Duke. She was out last year for an ACL tear. You know, she won the state champs player of the year in 2022. And so for that, I mean, you instantly have the chance to kind of build your way back into the Final Four and maybe a state championship game, so they're going to be great.
Super excited to see what South Lyon can do this year. Just a reminder, you can always view our top 10 list at State Champs W social media accounts. We're so excited to announce that our softball player of the year is back, presented by Turn 2.
Yes.
Kenzie, we have so many exciting players to look out for this year.
Oh my gosh, this list was unreal. And it was crazy how many great players are not even in the top 10. It's just softball in Michigan is just phenomenal right now, and I'm just super excited to be a part of this.
How do you guys formulate that first list?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We have a lot of coaches on the west side, the east side, within our organization that we just connect with to make sure that we're kind of covering all of our bases, and we really make sure that we're connecting with a lot of coaches to ensure that this is given out to the best player that we can possibly give it out to.
Well, here is our very first top 10 softball player of the year list. Kenzie, who are some names that kind of stand out to you this year?
Yeah, you know, Gracie Maloney, obviously she's going to take the load a lot for Dakota this year now that Megan Nectarline is gone. She's committed to North Texas. She's a phenomenal player, phenomenal in the box. She averages about a 65 to 68 range on her fastball. She's just going to be a force, and so for Dakota to continue their dominance, she needs to be great, and so we're excited to have her on our list.
How, dominant does she have to be? Last year, you mentioned she had a partner.
Yes.
This year, she's kind of the it girl,
Yes, she is. And to be honest with Dakota, one of the things that they struggle with is scoring runs. And so Gracie's got to be phenomenal on the mound to stay in as many games as possible because they're not somebody like a Woodhaven or somebody like that just scores a ton consistently. And so I'm excited to see what she does carrying the load for Dakota. I think she's primed to do it. I think she does it in travel ball. And so I think she's going to be great and see if she can do it consistently game after game.
And how about Caitlin Palazzi?
Yeah, Caitlin Palazzi, I mean, if you know Caitlin, she's dominant on the mound. I mean, she's committed to the University of Alabama. Her fastball is strong. She commands the zone really well. She's awesome. One of the things that I think people don't understand is the Catholic League starts on a 1-1 count.
Right.
But she's dominant outside the Catholic League. She's dominant in travel ball. And so although she has that advantage, so to speak, of the 1-1 count, that doesn't hold her back from being dominant outside of the Catholic League and being able to command the zone beyond that.
Well, our voting for Softball Player of the Year is live now. You can cast your vote at statechampsw.com. And just a quick reminder, whoever is leading our online vote can never be removed from that top 10 list. Well, Kenzie, we're still very early in this season, but if you had to give a piece of advice to these girls, as we get going, get rolling more into the season, what would it be?
Yeah, I think, I'm excited to watch the different players and all that they do. But the biggest thing I would say is don't compare yourself to the people around you. There's a lot of, the players in Michigan, they're growing into phenomenal schools. But then it's easy to start comparing yourself and what you're doing, what you're not doing. And I just really encourage the players to not play the comparison game and just go be you, own your impact, do what you do best, whether that's being the player that gets on a lot or being the player that hits them in or being a defensive specialist. Whatever that is, own it and be that every day. And if you can do that, you're going to have a great season.
You heard it here first. Be you. Don't compare yourself.
Yes.
Love it. Great advice. We'll be back each and every Wednesday giving you updates, telling you things to watch out for, games that you should be aware of at statechampsw.com. State Champ Swing Away is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Swing Away is also presented to you by Turn-In-Two Softball. Continue to dream big and invest in development. Visit our website at turnin2mi.com. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud sponsor of the MHSAA. And the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Michigan High School Male and Female Athlete of the Year Award.